Hello and welcome to Climate Check with me, Mary Mwiikisa. Now, this is a program that focuses on enhancing climate action and, of course, taking care of planet Earth. Now, on the program today, we'll be looking at community voices and participation in climate action. And, of course, we'll be taking you to Chongwe and Rufunsa, where the communities are taking the lead in using alternative sources of energy for their daily household needs in terms of cooking. This is Climate Check. Join me on the other side as this show is brought to you courtesy HIVO Southern Africa under the Strengthening Respect for Environmental Rights project in Zambia. Welcome back to Climate Check. Now, as we continue to engage communities and ensuring that these communities have a voice and contribute to the dialogue around climate action, we are not leaving out traditional leaders, and these are the people that preside over these communities. And so we had an opportunity to speak to Chief Nkambo of Masaiti District, and he is a member of the House of Chiefs, and this is what he had to tell us about climate action.
We have an initiative from the from the Office of the Chairperson, House of Chiefs, which we call National Climate Change Adaptation and Mitigation Initiative, Harnessing Traditional Leadership for Affirmative Climate Local Action in Zambia. And so our major role was that of sensitization, to sensitize our people on climate change. You know, it's a global challenge that has come, and we don't know when this will come to an end. And so as a traditional leadership, we have the platform, but we realize that we don't have the expertise. And so what we do is that we engage those that are experts in those areas. We engage the Forestry Department, Ministry of Agriculture. Those are the ones that come to address our people. Even though ourselves also, we recognize the fact that we have a role to play. We remind our people to get back to those olden ways of farming. You know, intercropping, we were not relying on one type of crop. Yeah, we used to grow cassava because cassava could stay, underground for a good number of years. And so unfortunately, our people have forgotten all those old methods of farming. They are relying on maize only and hybrid for that matter. And so we educate our people, our subjects, on the importance of not completely forgetting about the old ways of farming. We advise them to keep some indigenous seeds, maybe a certain portion. Maybe for commercial purposes, we can be planting the hybrid, but a certain portion of their farm can be reserved for those seeds that we can keep on planting on a yearly basis. And some of those don't even demand for these fertilizers that we use. They can grow, especially if you plant them early, like Gankata. We have known of places where they grow and they mature very well. And so that's one role that we play. We really strongly emphasize to our people that we have to diversify in terms of agriculture. A small portion of cassava, candelo, that's the sweet potatoes, millet. There's those crops like millet, sorghum, which can grow even when there is a minimum rains. Yeah, there is a drought. They can mature to full maturity, even with dew, that moisture. So we encourage them to be, we emphasize on the need for our people to respect, certain areas from times immemorial, like water sources. We don't allow our people to be cutting trees around those areas, and so we remind them, grave, the cemetery where the dead are buried. We don't allow trees to be, and the trees along the river, we don't allow them to be cutting those. And now with the help of certain organizations that have come to help us in this battle with climate change and its negative effects, we do provide that platform, and we engage those people, we allow those people to come and address our people. Yes.
And of course, that is Chief Nkambo, who is giving us information about how traditional leaders are participating in climate action using the communities where they live. Now, on Climate Check, over 1,000 households in Chongwe and Rufunsa districts have adopted the use of the traditional cook stoves that use twigs instead of firewood, and has seen a reduction in deforestation. Now, this is an initiative by Keeper Zambia Foundation under the Climate-Led Action for Climate Resilience project, and this project is funded by HIVOS Southern Africa. And of course, here is a report by our staffer, Kasabula Mchimba.
In a world that is searching for answers to climate change, a story of women, seeds and traditional stoves is making a difference in Rufunsa and Chongwe districts. Seated under this hut is where solutions were first introduced by Keeper Zambia Foundation in 2024 under a project called Climate-Led Action for Climate Resilience, funded by HIVOS. Initially, 50 women were taught how to make the traditional cook stoves in order to eliminate the cutting down of trees for firewood, and now over 1,000 households have adopted them.
Ichi chintu chatandiza nkuni kulibe kuchora monga mwetezo kuchorera vambiri onani monga mwamene muzionera apa soka mutiro taikamo cheka ngono na vichani mampukutu ayali apa mchisori vimpukutu vichani taikamo so apa ningapike vambiri.
Mundu aliyense muno mcommunity mwatu asebenzesa ka stove aka kamene vanatipunzisa ba Keeper Zambia Foundation. Tonga zikomo kuvamene vanachita kutipasa nzeru zamene sitinali kuziva ise.
Through these engagements, this couple completely transitioned from the charcoal business to gardening for their livelihood.
So tenzotiwa mitengo maiona mitengo mweiriri. Nife tenzojua. Kushoka viviri maningi. So manje pamene inabwera program ya climate change ambo tipunzisa ti kushoka viviri nikoipa, so tinachita kukumba che mgoduyu timanyamula mapiston kutapirira. So mwamene umu penze pa festival ya penze tomato garden ili kukunja mweze tomato na repu, so inasira ya meneja tomato na repu timakwanisa kugulisa pa market paja ngati mwaonako mitengo paja ndife timagulisa
tipeza kuzipulumusa kwa kuti mwashanga tulepu tumbeu utosiyana viviri tunapela tuolesa mitengo kuchora.
But the effects of climate change remain a daily reality. Unpredictable weather patterns left this land struggling and hard hit by drought, especially in the 2023-2024 farming season, which resulted in food insecurity in homes. Through training, the women were encouraged to go back to their roots of planting drought-tolerant indigenous seeds, and were also encouraged to adopt conservation farming, and the results are evident.
I am a seed ko sometimes yamafuna manzi ambili, but my local seeds like yellow menzi, gankata, at least olokul bemvula ikulu, yeve makwanisa lokamvula nkangono bati yamakwanisa kupya.
Muli voucher chifukwa chakuti wanu musunga maningi manza nentu ibweza maningi kani ya chani ya doti mwamene inalili kai monga ku agriculture ba using a limo but monga ku program yatu is a voucher ndiye ititandiza makamaka kubweza ntaka yatu bwino so naona akakulidwe so mwamene munali voucher go by ready ndiye imuone olo makobzi yakaena ni akulu amene nani muli voucher muli go by ready ndiye kwa mena bwera na isha ngolo makobzi yakaena ni akulu maningi.
With these positive gains, the community started to advocate for action against deforestation.
So uyo muntu ngati mwamupeza mumuzi muli ba secretary muli banduna muli na bapatiri baja boyanganira tizanda fast kuti baja bantu ameta peza pafupi kuti ichi nkhani ya program yotema mitengo tinalesa but kuti muntu chite amene ativuta nkhani yochita bwanji yotiola mitengo.
After several engagements with the chiefs and headmen and women in Rufunsa and Chongwe, 3 committees were established to work with the forestry departments and the traditional leadership in enforcing the law against illegal cutting down of trees.
Tipunzisana chabe masiku onse chifukwa kaili kumvera kuvuta mukaleka benangu wangapezemo mpata wochita vamene mulesa. Komiti amene napangiwa ni yakuti kuti titandizireko chifukwa bana batu na maparents benangu sibamvera pankhani ya mitengo. That's why kunapangiwa komiti inaikiwamo na bazoni boyanganira dera ya bamfumu kuti batitandizireko na beve.
And from the time that we've been in the field with Keeper Zambia, I think we've seen the impact, and a lot of people are adopting the stoves that have been introduced in the community. And also working with them, we as a department, we are into tree planting activities. So we've managed even to give out these tree seedlings to the community so that in different homes they're able to plant, especially those homes that do not have tree seedlings in their community or in their villages.
Our forest has been affected. A lot of trees have been cut down because of the charcoal burning. So I'm saying the Keeper Zambia coming on board in Funsa, it's a plus, and they're helping us.
With these achievements, the funders and implementers of the project feel they have achieved their goal.
Yes, we have achieved our goal because if you look at, because most of the beneficiaries were women, we have been able to empower them to speak out on issues that are affecting on the climate change. They are able to engage with local traditional leaders and also civic leaders and ask them on whatever matter they think is affected, because we are also trying to encourage them to do advocacy work. So we are also trying to encourage them on how to produce in a situation where they are affected by either drought or floods. So we have been able to achieve this because we can be able to see that women are able to speak out.
In the hands of these rural women and communities, climate action has taken root for the benefit of the future generations. Kasabula Muchimba for Climate Check.
Thank you, Kasabula, for that report. And of course, joining us in studio is Mr. Ezra Banda, who is Executive Director, Keeper Zambia Foundation, to help us appreciate the details on the ground around climate action using the communities of Chongwe and Rufunsa. Mr. Banda, thank you so much for making time. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mary.
Let's appreciate the project that you have been doing in Rufunsa and Chongwe, where the local communities have had this transformation of their mindset and choices to clean energy using twigs. Let us know about it in detail. What does this project focus?
Thank you very much. I think you might realize that the environment change, this is real. We have seen it happening. And basically, maybe before I even dwell into that issues, we have to look at what are the causes. So the causes really, though some people might want to associate with specific sector, to also if we look at it, that is the reduction of tree population in the environment. Because basically that trees are meant to help us. You know, even when God was creating a human being, he created trees, meaning that the trees that the purpose, you know, to refresh, to take out the carbon, But now what we are doing is that we are removing the stock. So as we are removing the stock, the population is increasing, but the stock of trees are reducing. So that's why this project, with the support through HIVOS, under the funding from VSA, Keepers is working in Rufunsa and Chongwe with 2,000 women and youth to try and amplify the voices around the issues of climate change, and also to start now taking up position as the people who are affected. Because you realize that due to the depletion of resources, women are traveling long distances to fetch water and to look for firewood for cooking. So this is actually exposing them too much because they woke up very early. So in terms of gender abuse. So ourselves, we went in, Keepers, working together with HIVOS, to try and sit with the people and look at what could be the solutions. Because, you know, what is very important in life is to ensure that the affected person takes lead.
Yes.
You know, it takes lead so that they own the process. So we went out there, our team, to facilitate the process of co-creation.
Okay.
So one of the issues which we found out, which of course, Mary, also you agree with me, is that there's too much talk about issues of charcoal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially now that we even have an energy deficit.
Yes. So there's too much talk of charcoal. So when we went down in the villages, you know, in the past, you know, people in the villages were not using braziers, but these days they're using that because there is a sign of reduction in terms of trees. So the women and the youth there did understand that there is need for them to create a solution. Okay. And now this is like, we are saying, can we go back to our roots? How were our parents living before? And they were able to preserve the trees. So that's where now they said, can we go back to the issues of doing the traditional cook stove? Okay. These are simple stoves which are made at a household and using twigs. Yeah, you don't have to cut a big tree.
So the twigs are the
small
branches that fall off the tree.
Yeah, exactly.
Without necessarily cutting the whole tree down.
You don't have to cut the tree.
So the tree is continuing to have its life going on, but then you are just using the dry
exactly. And even those the waste from the cob of maize, you can use them. There's monkey biscuits, those monkey biscuits, msekese, for other people. So you can use those. And the goodness that when they light the fire in the morning, they don't need to light it the whole day.
Okay.
Yeah, because that stove preserves. You know, the way it is made, they use about between 8 and 10 bent bricks. Then they bring in a bit of clay soil and they mix it with cow dung. The rationale is there is that the cow dung is able to hold the heat.
Ah, so it acts like a plate on the stove.
Exactly. So when they just lit it in the morning, so the economical gain there is that they don't even have to go around. When they light it in the morning, even in the evening, they'll find the same fire. Yeah, they can even leave the food warm there. They don't have to go and look for a food warmer. It will just be warming their food like that. So but basically that's what is happening. So in Chongwe and Rufunsa, we have more than 800 people who have adopted the technology for cooking. But beyond that, there are some long-term benefits which will come with it, because at the end of the day, these people who are going into carbon credits, they want to see that trees are growing. Yes. So if they preserve a very big land, it's possible that people who are involved in carbon trading, they will come in and start trading with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
What has been the response from the community around this project when you introduced it to them?
Basically, at the beginning, of course, there was a resistance. As you know, that this is not a service delivery, it's an advocacy. It's an advocate. So since it's an advocate, there was a bit of resistance. Okay. But later on, people did understand that the idea was we wanted them to start doing co-creation. They needed also to understand the problem and start taking it so that they can lobby the government to say how can the government come in and put in policies that would support the justice or action against the climate change. Yeah. And both chiefs have received it. As we are talking now, the chiefs allowed us. Last week we had a training of Natural Resource Management Board.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, I'm glad you've spoken about the chiefs because we know that for any project to succeed, you need to work with the local leadership. And I was going to ask how the headmen, the chiefs, and all the traditional leaders in Rufunsa and Chongwe are being used as agents of change towards climate action?
Yeah, I think as I've alluded to, right away we have 3 what we call natural resource management board, which we want to work with them until they are registered as legal entities. So these 3 are sitting, one is sitting in Chongwe, under Her Royal Highness Chieftainess in Komesha, Mkamambo. Then the other one is sitting, the 2 are sitting under His Royalness Chief Munda.
Okay.
And last week, as we were saying, we had about 60 headmen who are trained by Minister of Green Economy and ourselves in the processes of how they should start preserving the trees.
Okay.
So it's something that has been accepted by the traditional leadership, and also we are happy because we are involving the traditional leadership, and the structures which are formed there also include the traditional leadership.
How long is this project running for?
It started in 2021,
okay,
and we are winding up now. Yeah, we hope we could look around and see how we can continue with it, especially that we as a local institution, we might not come out completely. We want to continue until we strengthen the structures of natural resource management power.
Yeah. Do you think it's possible for us to end deforestation as a country?
To end completely, no, because the natural resources also, that's where we earn our living. So to end it completely, no, but I think it's a question of trying to see how do we preserve. Okay, is to preserve the system, to preserve the natural resources, while ensuring that the people also are able to earn their living. But maybe, because when you use the term deforestation, this comes from the angle where undiscriminatory cutting down of the trees. Of course, that one we need to work with it and try to minimize. It's a crime. Yeah,
indeed. And Mr. Banda, as I let you go, President Hakainde Hichilema, away from what we're talking about, but in relation to what we're talking about, clean energy and preserving our forests, President Hakainde Hichilema this week commissioned the $100 million Chisamba solar PV power plant to contribute about 100 megawatts to the energy mix that the country is trying to work on. How does this make you feel?
I think us who are in the environment, we are quite very excited. And we believe that, I was just thinking, that after I heard about that, I was just thinking that if we can replicate like in each province, then we end up, because that one is 100 megawatts.
Yes.
So if we can replicate, we shall have 1,000. And then at the end of the day, I think this is the right direction, which the government is looking at. Then maybe we need also to invite a lot of investors in the green energy. And we need maybe to unpack it, so that even Mary, if she's sitting around with about 5 households, can even have a mini grid there and supply those, so that we try to make sure that we increase the green energy.
All right.
Yeah.
Mr. Banda, thank you so much for making time to appear on Climate Check.
Thank you. And please, we request that even next time, call upon us so that we can communicate.
Definitely, we will engage you more often. That's Mr. Ezra Banda, Executive Director, Keeper Zambia Foundation, just appreciating the fact that projects that offer alternative sources of energy must be upheld. Well, we have come to the end of the program for this week, and we were looking at the role of community voices, the role of community engagements around achieving our targets in the fight against climate change. We'll be back again next week, same time, same channel. Remember to do your part in protecting planet Earth. My name is Mary Mwiikisa. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.